So let's see what an example of a provocation. So, another way to look at that day of week data is to really look at it day over day and to look for anomalies. And in this case, I believe this is an online brokerage firm, and looking at account openings. And a data whisperer is going to dig into this anomaly, and sure enough, there's a correlation with the stock market, right? When the stock market dips, more people want to get in at the bottom. They open up more accounts. And so even digging deeper into that, some products sell better in bearish weeks versus bullish weeks, right? And so there's a whole new strategy that you can build on this sort of deeper insight. So how do we get to these insights? How do we encourage your team to think like this and to go deeper? My first advice, hire curious people. Curiosity is, we've seen our most successful people, both at the TradeDesk and with our clients, is just this undying thirst for, what's making this campaign work, how can it be better? Albert Einstein says, I have no special talents, I'm only passionately curious. So I can't stress, curiosity is just a huge indicator of success. And there's more qualities. So critical thinking, creativity, consultative storytelling. I'm just going to dive through each one really quickly and just highlight other examples. So curiosity. Oftentimes IOs are only at a DMA level. A data whisperer is going to dig deeper, right, and look at maybe city grain data and look for patterns. And sure enough, I believe this was an e-commerce campaign. It was indexing highly in sort of these small college towns, right, where there's disproportionate amount of the population of students, but in both universities and actually military bases. This opened up a whole new strategy to target colleges, to find out actually which universities that they haven't achieved top of mind yet, and it really drove a lot of action. Creativity. So, coming up with new ideas, testing hypotheses. This is one of my favorite examples. This is way back when, working for a quick serve restaurant and driving online ordering. And we were really curious to see, what was the key indicator there. We drove to the parking lot of the restaurant about 20 miles away, camped out, watched people do online ordering, come pick up. We put an order in ourselves, drove back 20 miles back to the office, and our food was cold. And we're like, you know what? Proximity to that store is going to matter a huge deal. And actually, is there a difference in drive times, right? A rural location or suburban location is going to have a different drive time than an urban location. So let's parse this data by population density, and let's have a different plan for urban locations versus suburban locations. Storytelling. So, to be able to tell a story in a lot of different ways, whether it's through spoken word, whether it's through writing, whether it's through just the right data visualization can tell a good story. So instead of comparing the day of week analysis, this is looking at, I believe, pizza orders on an average Saturday versus a sports Saturday, right, where they had hockey playoffs, Kentucky Derby, a big boxing match that night. That Saturday performed drastically different. This drove a lot of action in terms of having a plan for upcoming sporting events and even regionalized sporting events. Critical thinking. So Data Whisperer will dive into, knows how to unpack data, right, and sort of deconstruct data. And so the data scientist said, actually, you know what, Firefox is the best performing browser. But the Data Whisperer actually has context for the advertiser. They know that 12-step order isn't going to perform well on mobile devices, and sure enough, that was dragging down Chrome and Safari. Turns out the recommendation was made to do sort of pairwise bidding, combine browser and operating system, and Chrome OS X was the highest performing intersection of those two variables, and that increased performance meaningfully. And then the last skill, consultative, knowing when to push back on clients. Sometimes the client is wrong, or there's a conflict in what I need to do to hit the CPA and what we think is in the best interest of the advertiser. So case in point, looking at competitive analysis, Oftentimes when you run a brick and mortar campaign, the areas where there's highest density of stores perform the best, right? That they've achieved top of mind in those locations. And we actually have to shy away from areas where their competitors have a strong presence, right? And so, this is said of accountants and it's true of data scientists. They understand the cost of things, they don't understand the value of things. And data whisperers really understand the value of things. And they know, yeah, we can game the system and hit the CPA. We just have to avoid the areas that you need the most advertising in. And so, tell us what to do. Hit the CPA, or should we try to get more budget, conquesting budget in these areas that we're weaker in? That's pretty much it. So takeaways. Let's see. Encourage your team to think bigger and develop deeper insights and provocations. Foster a culture that rewards curious storytellers. And lastly, make sure you're working with a platform that is focused on making your team better. Our success at TDD has always been about teaching clients how to go deeper and get more out of their data. That's it. Thank you for your time.